Happy New Year, everybody. All right, I know a lot of you snowflake liberals out there, you're all upset. You need your hot cocoa, your coloring books, your Play-Doh, your aromatherapy, pet therapy. My hope for you in 2017 is that you wake up and understand the world has changed, and hopefully for the better. That should be everybody's wish for the new year.
Reaction is I'm glad that Meryl Streep has such a passion for the disabled, because I didn't hear her weigh in, and I didn't hear her even use her platform last night, Ainsley, to give a shout out to the mentally challenged boy who last week was tortured live on Facebook for half an hour by 4 young African-American adults who were screaming racial and anti-Trump expletives and forcing him to put his head in toilet water. So I'd like to hear from her today if she wants to come and continue her platform on behalf of the disabled.
What bothers me about this is I think the country could use a debate on immigration and trade, and those are the 2 issues that, you know, people are actually upset about. But again, we're not getting that. Instead, you're going to hear all kinds of implications about the character of these people. Let's debate the issues. These are real issues, and I think all of us would benefit from an adult conversation about them, but we're not going to get it.
Tucker, if I know anything about you, it's that you love the Golden Globes. You circle the dating calendar about a year out. I mean, every America will soon know that about you. And speeches, this is the first big event like that since Donald Trump was elected. Meryl Streep got a Lifetime Achievement Award, but used it to bash Donald Trump, unsurprisingly. Take a listen to what she had to say.
All of us in this room really belong to the most vilified segments in American society right now. Think about it. Hollywood, foreigners, and the press. So Hollywood is crawling with outsiders and foreigners. And if we kick them all out, you'll have nothing to watch but football and mixed martial arts, which are not the arts. But there was one performance this year that stunned me. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter. This brings me to the press. We need the principled press to hold power to account, to call them on the carpet for every outrage. Because we're going to need them going forward, and they'll need us to safeguard the truth.
So there she is, Tucker, telling the Hollywood foreign press, you know, you need to hold Mr. Trump accountable, unlike what you did with Barack Obama for the last 8 years.
Right, and here you have a rich, entitled person describing herself as an outsider, an outcast, a pariah, which is, of course, exactly the opposite. I guess, look, she doesn't like Trump. That's totally fine. Lots of people don't. You're allowed to feel that way. But what I was so struck by is she was telling a crowd exactly what they wanted to hear. She was saying things that are totally uncontroversial within the context she was speaking. That's the least courageous thing you could do. I mean, and you're seeing people jump up and say, wow, she's speaking truth to power. Really? To be in a room full of rich Hollywood liberals and say liberal things? I mean, it would be really interesting and cool, by the way, if she were to stand up and say something they disagreed with. I mean, that would be a moment where you could say, wow, you know.
I just joined the NRA, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly right.
Yeah, it's time for final thoughts. Last night, Meryl Streep stood in front of a theater filled with rich Hollywood liberals and demonstrated just how out of touch Hollywood is with the rest of the country. She also validated our reason for voting for Donald Trump and reminded us how important the Electoral College really is. See, without the Electoral College, people like Meryl Streep and the rest of the Hollywood elite would have a stranglehold on the rest of the country. You know, the football and MMA-loving rest of the country between the 2 coasts that break their backs to put food on the table, pay the mortgage, and send their American-born children to college. Those folks, remember us? Well, Meryl and company forgot. But just in case you didn't bother to tune in to this overrated collection of liberals gathered in a room to honor themselves, I'll take you through Meryl's little speech. First, she reminded us that Hollywood actors are just average folks. You know, average folks who wear millions in jewelry and designer gowns to walk down a red carpet for 20 minutes, meanwhile pretending to care about the so-called income inequality and the working class. Lovely. But Meryl went on to remind us these Hollywood elite are not the creation of Hollywood. No, many are foreigners. Great. But then Meryl went left, way left, by insinuating our president-elect Donald Trump would kick them all out. Really, Meryl? You sure? Because the folks we want to kick out are illegals with criminal records, and the folks we want to keep out are, again, immigrants with criminal records, and a dictate from ISIS to expand the caliphate. Though I'm sure some would like to return a few of these Hollywood entertainers to where they came from, that is not the agenda of a Trump administration. But way to make that leap, Meryl. But Meryl stayed on her high horse to remind us that without Hollywood, without the theater, without the actors and the movies, we would all be stuck watching football and MMA. Hey, Meryl, we happen to like MMA and football. Go Cowboys. But perhaps you forgot another important detail. Without us, yeah, the football and MMA-loving deplorables you look down on, you would have no one watching your arts. Get that. But then Meryl went on to talk about violence and disrespect. She told us violence incites violence. Now, was she talking about the violence the DNC paid for at Trump rallies, or the violence in the inner cities glorified by rap music? Curious. But then Meryl went on to lecture us on the truth. Yeah, seriously. From the woman who yipped on stage at the Democratic National Convention at the excitement of electing perhaps the most dishonest lying sack of crap in electoral history? Yeah. Safeguarding the truth, Meryl? Was that the same truth, the 33,000 emails of truth Hillary deleted, or... Yeah. Clearly, Meryl's liberal snowflake privilege was showing, but that's okay. I just wonder what Donald Trump will do without the support of the Hollywood elite. Oh, I know. He will make America great again. Those are my final thoughts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Tommy Lahren. From cowboy and MMA-loving Dallas, God bless, and take care.
Just days before the inauguration, Hollywood turning last night's Golden Globe ceremony into a roast of President-elect Donald Trump. Host Jimmy Fallon taking some shots at Mr. Trump, comparing him to the Game of Thrones villain King Joffrey. Actor Hugh Laurie also mocking the president-elect, and Hollywood legend Meryl Streep launching into an anti-Trump tirade while accepting her Lifetime Achievement Award. Here are some clips.
This is the Golden Globes, one of the few places left where America still honors the popular vote.
Thank you, first of all, to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association for this amazing honor. I suppose made more amazing by the fact that I'll be able to say I won this at the last ever Golden Globes. I don't mean to be gloomy, it's just that it has the words Hollywood Foreign and Press in the title. I just don't know what.
There was one performance this year that stunned me. It sank its hooks in my heart. Not because it was good. There was nothing good about it. It was that moment when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity to fight back.
Mr. Trump firing back on Twitter today saying, quote, Meryl Streep, one of the most overrated actresses in Hollywood, doesn't know me, but attacked last night at the Golden Globes. She is a Hillary flunky who lost big. For the 100th time, I never mocked a disabled reporter, would never do that, but simply showed him groveling when he totally changed a 16-year-old story that he had written in order to make me look bad. Just more very dishonest media. Kennedy, I'm going to go to you. I have every D-list comedian on Twitter going after me because I thought it was completely inappropriate last night. I think the sanctimonious, poor actors, poor Hollywood, the lecturing of celebrities helped elect Donald Trump. And I said, Hollywood, if you don't take a look, you're going to usher him in for a second term real quick. And for some reason, all the snowflake liberals are having a meltdown on Twitter today about it.
Well, here's what I took away from Meryl Streep's speech. I love Meryl Streep, and I'm a huge fan of hers, and I think her range is extraordinary. And I think when they showed all the clips of her films leading up to it, I had tears in my eyes and goosebumps, because here's someone who's so tremendously talented, who has focused that talent, and goes to show, you know, what an incredible role model for our children, someone who's able to focus that ability. But then in the moment, you get one Lifetime Achievement Award. You get one. And she completely squandered it talking about someone that she has a political disagreement with, instead of soaking in the moment and basking in it and being, you know, almost a patron saint for other people to hold up as a model model for their own lives, and she completely blew what could have been a cementing moment in her legacy. And for that, I was tremendously personally disappointed in her, and I share that. And I tweeted out, you know, I'm more proud of my daughter's second-place gymnastics trophy because she worked harder and has more joy in her life than these sanctimonious nut jobs who peppered the stage last night.
And also, who cares what these people think? I mean, look, I think these are the same voices that were rejected this election. Hillary Clinton had everyone from the Hollywood elite on her side, with the exception of, you know, a couple of people. But I think Americans are so tired of being preached to by people that are making millions of dollars simply to act when they're struggling to pay the bills. They're struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. They're struggling to pay their electricity bills. Their health care premiums have increased, you know, 100% if you're living in states like Arizona, and they just don't care, and they're just over it. And it's just so, you know, it's just so elitist for these guys to spend the entire time last night lecturing to Americans. Who cares? What basis do they have to be telling us, you know, how we should vote or what we should think and why we should even be listening to them in the first place?
I think Meryl Streep is a terrific actress. I agree with Kennedy's assessment, and I think Trump was right to go for her jugular. Her statements were totally and inexorably out of place. He's explained this, as he said, 100 times. And when he comes out with a very, very pointed Twitter like that, he bypasses the mainstream media. He speaks directly to his base, and he moves on.
Well, to all people, really. I mean, look, Hollywood is having a misinterpretation of its power. I mean, clearly.
Yes.
They live on sycophant planet.
Yeah.
So they're not used to the blowback of when people don't agree with them, and that their own voices are not biggest in the room. They're just uncomfortable with that, especially at that list that you looked at last night, like a Meryl Streep. She is an A-lister in Hollywood. She's used to walking in and sucking all the oxygen out of the room. And maybe in those circles she should, because she is so wildly talented. The problem now is that, and you talked about this on Twitter, and you've talked about it on the show, Megan, there is now a deafness that is washing across these people who have been sycophants with other liberals and with other like-minded people. So they're going to have to open their ears. There's a reason why we have two of those in one mouth. And they're going to have to listen. And they're going to have to take in what's happening. Otherwise, the roles they play won't even resonate.
Did Meryl Streep respond to your tweet?
No, but everybody in Hollywood is trying to do our job, and I don't care about your job. And I like football and MMA or whatever she went after last night. It's ridiculous. They're different forms of entertainment. And I'm not a Meryl Streep fan, never was.